All right, so I just did a small WebBot update video, very small, and realized, you know what, I meant to talk about this days ago about a WebBot hit. So I just added it. Right now I'm adding it, and I'm going to put this video in front of the other video, combine them into one, so you'll see one video called the small WebBot update or whatever. So you'll know, because I do these summaries on the WebBot. It's been several reports ago, and even before that he mentioned it. In those WebBot reports, that there would be high-profile kidnappings. Remember that? I'm sure many of you do. High-profile kidnappings, notable kidnappings. Not just some kid down the street. Somebody who is somebody. Family member, whatever, kidnapped, right? So this was like not big news at all, but I can't remember if someone even maybe sent it to me or I found it. I don't remember now, but it's been sitting on like the back burner. Do a video on the WebBot hit, and I just keep forgetting. So get this. Remember Gaddafi from Libya? We went in there with the Muslim Brotherhood, our pals, and took care of him. Gaddafi's son kidnapped. This now, by the way, so how long ago this was? December 11th. It was first posted very late at night and then edited on the 12th. So we'll call it December 12th. Today's the 25th. It's Christmas. You'll be seeing this video tomorrow. Gaddafi's son kidnapped in Lebanon, freed by security forces, reports. Hannibal, the son of Muammar Gaddafi, the late Libyan leader, has reportedly been freed and transported to the Lebanese capital, Beirut, following his kidnapping and brief detention by an armed group, security sources reported. The businessman was freed by Lebanese police, who are now set to question him, security sources told AFP. Another security source told the agency that Gaddafi had been, quote, kidnapped by an armed group in the region of Bekaa when he was traveling from Syria before being released on Friday night in the same region, end quote. According to Lebanon's national news agency, Gaddafi's captors demanded information on Musa Sadir, who went missing in Libya decades ago. Which doesn't make sense, but whatever. According to reports on Twitter, Hannibal Gaddafi was seized by members of the Lebanese Amal movement. Late on Friday, a video was aired on the Beirut-based Al Jadid TV, in which Hannibal urged anyone who might be aware of the fate of Imam Moussa al-Sadir to come forward. In the footage, the man said that he was, quote, in good health, happy, and relaxed, despite clear traces of violence on his body, including black eyes. Imam al-Sadir and two of his companions disappeared during a visit to Tripoli back in 1978. Throughout that time, Lebanon has blamed the disappearance of one of its most prominent Shia clerics on Muammar Gaddafi. Hannibal, who is 40 years old, is the fifth son of Colonel Gaddafi and his second wife, Safia Farkash. He was the first consultant in the management committee of the General National Maritime Transport Company of Libya before his father was killed in an uprising that was backed by a NATO air campaign. So that's enough of that. The WebBot said to look for a high-profile kidnapping. And, if I recall, just going back on the old memory, I don't think it was saying specifically just one. You're going to start hearing about them. More than one, in other words. So that absolutely qualifies. It's not a nobody. Wasn't some kid down the street. Police are looking for a neighborhood in Tampa, Florida. No. This is somebody who is somebody who is somebody. High-profile kidnapping. So now that I got that out of the way, again, I have to tell you when this WebBot gets stuff right that I can even remember, first of all. I just want to report it. Just to let you know that this freaking thing said so in advance. As crazy as it sounds. So there it is. And as I said, you'll be seeing one video, and the next one's about to start right now. All right, so I guess I'm going to title this a small WebBot update, but it's more or less Cliff High sending me an email. Just a small little paragraph here. Because, I was fighting the bank for several years on the house. They offered a settlement agreement. I accepted it, took it, got it. And we're going to be moving in the very near future. So, studying all the stuff that I've studied, I feel like housing market crash 2.0 is coming. I've said this for a while. So even if I could go get a mortgage right now, I don't think I would. So I feel way more comfortable renting for at least, I was going to say a year, but honestly probably 2 years, because I want to see where the market goes. And, God forbid if precious metals finally do their thing, and then I'm ready to go get a house, and I can say, oh, wow, I could sell some silver or all of it or whatever, it takes to buy this house for, cash money. Whoa, perfect timing, right? Or if precious metals don't go where where we think they're going to go just yet, the big numbers. So what? I rented for a couple years anyways, and if if the housing market comes down, maybe it'll be time at that point to, find a house and get a regular old mortgage. The only other issue is that if interest rates are going to be rising, absolutely housing prices are coming down, because I've mentioned before that equilibrium, if you will. If you can only afford $1,500 a month rent or mortgage payment, that's what your bills, that's what your income says you can afford. And that house with today's interest rates puts you right at $1,500 a month, let's say. But tomorrow's rate, or next year, year after, whatever, interest rates start rising noticeably. You go to get a mortgage, interest rates are up, maybe even significantly up from where they are today. That $1,500 payment doesn't change. You can still only afford that. So if the house was $250,000, $300,000 for you to afford that payment now, and then interest rates start rising, that $250,000, $300,000 house is now $175,000, and depending on what the interest rate is, it could be $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. There's no telling. It all depends on the interest rates. So if the interest rates rise significantly, housing prices have to come down significantly, because nothing has changed as far as the payment's concerned. The only difference is you're paying them rotten banks a whole bunch more interest money. So my wife and I have been talking at depth about this very recently. And what area are we looking at? Houses to rent. We want a 4-bedroom. Should we get a 5-bedroom? What's the difference in price? What's out there? You know what I mean? So we're really looking at this lately. So as usual, Cliff High sends me an email out of nowhere. Doesn't know that I'm having these conversations with my wife. Says, hey, Joe, how are you? A present for you. A small present for you from the data in this next report. So the one that's coming. If you are going to be staying in Florida, you will get seriously crappy weather over 2016, especially August and September, much worse than this winter's issues. But in the meantime, the dollar crisis is going to absolutely crush, at least from the data, real estate prices along huge areas in Florida. That's not a good thing, but for those prepared. Looks like maybe your year to start looking around. Some numeracy shows that luxury areas, that's the keyword, luxury areas, and I don't know if this webbot could be this accurate, what I'm about to say, but if it is, things to come based off of this housing prices are going to be worse than, terrible. But he says some numeracy shows that luxury areas will be 90% off. In other words, 10 cents on today's dollar, he says, due to financial Shiite, if you will, over the next 4+ months. Let me restate that for clarity. At some point in time, maybe later in 2016, the prices of luxury real estate in your state will be 90% off today's prices because of what will occur over these next 4 months. Events in 4 months, then the prices really move lower, but the movement itself will take time. However, your real problem is going to be actually opening your tightly squeezed fist to actually let go of that silver when you buy that house. It's going to hurt because you will be trapped in the mindset of future value of silver, as we have been held down so long. Anyway, on that note, so long. Talk to you later. Working up here between the storms. So he's saying, wow, precious metals have finally started to really skyrocket. Right now is the perfect time to buy a house. Crushed prices. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Do I wait longer? Will the prices remain lower for housing, or are they going to start bouncing back up even a little bit? Right now is the sweet spot. I should buy a house. However, silver is going up significantly, and I know it's going to go much higher. I don't want to sell my silver to get this house because silver is going to go much more higher, but I need a house. I could sell my silver right now, buy the house cash, still have some left over possibly, maybe. I'm not sure of the pricing yet, but that's kind of what he's relaying here. And I felt all this time for sure housing crash 2.0 was coming. I've said it. And we were at where one of my kids spent the night at one of the homeschool. We homeschool, so there's like little homeschool groups. And one of the kids had a birthday. It's like a little, slumber party for the kids. So one of my daughters was invited over there, and decent area. So on the way there, my wife and I like to pick her up and drop her off. We're kind of looking around, like, what's in this neighborhood? Does this look like a good area? That kind of thing. So we drop her off. And then the next day, as we're coming in, we see some signs on the ground, open house today, something or another. It's right by the house where this girl lives. So we pick up my daughter, and I said, well, yeah, let's stop in. Let's just take a look at the house, see what it looks like on the inside. Let's just get a feel for what this area has. Even though we already saw the neighbor's house, the friend or whatever, but, whatever. So we go inside, talking a little bit, looking around. They've added an additional room into the back, a nice sized room. It's, kind of nice. And he just dropped the price $10,000 recently, and he was asking $260, now it's $250, and it's been on the market for a while, hasn't sold. So I'm talking to the guy a little bit, and he's the realtor there for the open house, and I was like, yeah, just we just kind of stopped by. We're not really in a rush to go get into something, and I'll be honest, we're probably going to rent for at least a year to probably 2 years. Why is that? Why don't you? Housing prices they say they're probably about as low as they're going to get right now. They're probably going to start turning around. I said, well, I study a lot of stuff myself, and I don't believe that's going to happen. I honestly, I got a suspicion that they're going to come down quite significantly in the near future. Why do you say that? Why do you think that? All the reports, are showing that housing is starting to increase again and should start going back up. And I said, well, you saw the Federal Reserve just recently raised the rate finally after, almost 8 years or whatever it's been now, 7, 8 years. And when that happens, interest rates, are rising. So if you have a house that you can get a mortgage on for a certain interest rate, and then the interest rates rise or have risen at that interest rate, a person's ability to make that payment stays the same. So the price of the house has to come down in order for people to afford it. The only thing that changed was the interest rate. So unfortunately, housing prices are probably going to come down because of that alone, amongst some other things. But, he says, yeah, well, all right. He didn't buy what I was saying, but you could tell. But that's okay. And I could be wrong, in all fairness. The prices might skyrocket in housing again. Again, I don't even need to grab that magic 8 ball and shake it and ask that question, because I think we know where it's going. So, anyways, and if you guys, that was the only little update, but that's apparently coming in the next report when he releases the next report. If you don't subscribe to Cliff High, he does have a YouTube channel. I can get back to my channel, and I'll link his channel in this video in the description, because he does those little immediacy data, or not. I think he kind of quit the immediacy data stuff, but he does do his little reports. It's kind of like a mini webbot report, if you will. He'll look at some of the data, do a video. It may not be the full webbot report in his video, but as he's getting through the data to get ready to put the webbot report out there in full, I think he likes to update people from time to time when he can. So he does, and you may not know that, so I'm gonna link it so you can go see it. He does have 1 or 2 on there that are fairly recent, by the way, And I don't know if it was the very last one or the one before that. It might have been the one before that. I can't remember. Was it one of them? Both of them were good, but one of them was like a lot, a lot good, if you will. Was a lot better than the other one, just as far as what he was talking about and some of the stuff to to come, that kind of thing. I just can't remember. I want to say it was not the very last one, but the previous. But if you watch those last two, have at it and just listen to what he says. But it's kind of like a summary of his own WebBot report coming, soon. Kind of like what I do, except he's doing it himself. So, anyways, I'll link that and take care.